I always wanted to do that. I'm gonna call a meeting of, county council, February 10th, 2015, to order. Good to see a good crowd here tonight. It tells us the people's interested in what we're doing, whether it's good or bad. But, we start with our invocation, then we'll have our pledge of allegiance, and Mr. Dawson is gonna have our invocation tonight. We'll all stand.
Before we have our invocation, I want to ask everyone to be thinking of Mr. McDaniel. Most of you, or certainly most people know that he has been struggling with some health issues, and his mother just passed away. So you pile on when it comes to rains and pours, and that's what's happening to Mr. McDaniel this time. He is over at NHC, but a lot of people may know also that they're on lockdown over there for the flu, so he can't even get visitors there going and coming. So if you would have him and his family in prayer, I think his mother was 102, correct? So it certainly is a strain on that family at this time. So would you join me in prayer, please? Dear Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the opportunity to come here and celebrate the business of Lawrence County. We thank you for its many citizens, and we ask you to watch over us. And you help us make the best decisions for the citizens of this county. Understanding we're trying to improve our life, our lifestyle, so that we may also in turn service you and honor you. It is in your name I most humbly pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First thing tonight, we'll ask for a motion to approve our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve the agenda submitted.
Mr. Chairman, second, with any additions as you just said.
Do we have any additions? With no additions, all in favor, raise your right hand. Let's see, so. Next thing is approval of our minutes from our January 27th, 2015 meeting. Ask for a motion to approve our minutes.
Move to approve the minutes of last meeting, January 27th.
Second.
Motion and a second. Does anybody have any corrections you want to make? If none, we'll vote by show of right hand. Thank you. The first thing on our discussion item tonight is our second reading of ordinance 781. I'll let Sandy give a little brief view of that.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we mentioned on the title only reading last meeting, this is an acquisition by a company now known as Project Laurel of the Unisite plant. Will also involve an expansion. Margaret, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
20 million?
20 million.
On the expansion, and a few more jobs. So it's a win-win for the county, and we would certainly, the staff, encourage favorable approval on second reading, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll entertain a motion for second reading of ordinance 781.
I'll second the motion for 781. Make the motion.
All right, got a motion, we got a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second. We have any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, here comes the big one. First reading ordinance 782 is, the thing that the ordinance we've been talking about, or the fire department, we've been talking about borrowing money to repair buildings and build a couple of buildings. You wanna let Greg address that, or just briefly?
Greg, you want, wherever you, yeah, you're gonna come up and just a couple comments.
It's a total of $2.450,000.
Just a quick run through, this would be to repair 31 existing stations, to bring those to code and to fix any kind of safety issues. This would also construct 4 new stations to fix the class 10 areas, and this would also tear down and rebuild the Young station that is now in bad shape. And that's for a total of 2.4 million.
Thanks, Greg. Mr. DuBose couldn't be here tonight, but we got an ordinance in front of us. But, first thing I'll do is entertain a motion for first reading of ordinance 782. That's to provide the issue and sale of bonds, $2,450,000, general obligation bond of Lawrence County.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve first reading ordinance 782 to help us improve our fire system and add to our departments in Orange County.
We got a motion, we got a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. Okay, we're gonna open for discussion. We'll start with Mr. Peter.
No discussion on it, Mr. Chairman.
Ms. Anderson.
Thank you, but I've addressed it enough in the past. Okay.
Mr. Jones.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'm 100% for the plan, but I cannot in good conscience vote for a tax increase to facilitate this plan. I'm looking at the bigger picture, our current budget, and the local government fund, and a number of those things. And people are already paying enough money across the board. We got $985,200, which the state government isn't giving us back this year alone. And so that's been going on since 2009, and I'm really looking for areas like that where we can get that money back, improve our fire stations, add additional stations, and improve the services in Lawrence County. So it's really impacting us, what the state is doing right now and what they've been doing since 2009 in that area. There's some other areas that as the new budget comes along here that we're looking at different models, ways of doing things that will help increase efficiency and find cost savings for the taxpayers. So at this time, I'm not going to vote for the bond, but I'm 100% for the repairs and for fixing our services here in Lawrence County.
I'd like to address one thing you said about the local government fund. Even if we got all the money back from the local government fund, none of that money could be used in the fire service. You can only take money from the unincorporated areas of the county. So that would be no place to go get any money. The only place we got to go get any money is with bonds. Mr. Knight?
Well, this fire department issue has been handled well by the volunteer fire departments that have kept us safe in most cases and done a real good job. We know that there's hardly no way we can finance the different fire departments, but this will get it off of us, and then the contract with Clinton and Fountain Inn is subject to keep going up and up and up, and this has always been an issue. And if we can get this fire departments by borrowing this $2,450,000, get what we got fixed up, as well as build new ones, I think this is a route to go because we're not going anywhere like we're going. I've talked to councilmen from way on back, I've been on 12 years, and that's all I've heard. But I just want to take my hat off to the volunteers, but they need some help too. So I'm for it, borrowing $2,450,000. That's all I have, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
Tyler?
Mr. Chairman, I'll be as quickly as I can. This subject has been on the drawing board, so to speak, for quite a few months now. I've spent a lot of time with Greg, I've spent a lot of time with various council members, I've spent time with various chiefs, volunteers, insurance agents, and trying to figure out what we can do best to improve the services in our county. And I do understand this as a tax increase, I understand that it's always a burr in the saddle, so to speak, of the people in Lawrence County. It seems like it just keeps increasing and increasing. Unfortunately, I feel very adamant that a small increase here will quickly pay for itself, both in savings of life and service to our citizens of the county, and monetarily on the citizens' homeowners insurance. I just think it does all three. I think that we, the council, have not made any major improvements in this department in quite a few years. The department personnel there, Mr. Lindley and his staff, the volunteers, the chiefs of these departments have worked diligently to try to continue to keep their departments improved and running. There are several things here. The first is safety of these departments, which amounted to almost $1 million worth of maintenance work. And that's something that we have to do. I mean, you can't know there's a safety problem and not address it. Once you know it, you have to address it. And then improvements in the service by adding these stations. I think we're on the right route. I think this is the best thing to do. And I'm going to vote affirmative because of that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Does anybody else want to make a comment?
With the interest rate as low as it is, I wasn't gonna say anything. But with the interest rate as low as it is at this time, it is feasible for us to do it at this time instead of waiting until the interest rates go up. It's a bad position to be in, when we always just have to say, I wish we had done this early when somebody is burned up, someone didn't get to wherever they need to get to. I think we are put here to make sure that we have the safety of the citizens in mind at all times. And I think this would be the best way of addressing a lot of issues that is confronting the fire department at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I got a question. On page 10 of the ordinance, this is in reference to Mr. Crookshanks, it says, the issuance of each series of bonds is directed to levy and collect upon all taxable property in the district. Is that just, what is that referencing, Mr. Crookshanks?
Yeah, and where are you, Mr. Pitts?
Page 10,
Section.
just tell me what all taxable property is in the district.
Yes,
Is that-
section 3.17.
Is that real estate?
Real and personal.
Real and personal.
Okay, real and personal, thank you.
And that's within the district as defined by the new unified district, which would exclude the city of Fleming and the city of Lawrence.
Thank you. No further questions, Mr. Chairman.
My comments is, nobody hates paying taxes worse than I do. And, I know everybody's heard this will be $10 on a $100,000 house. And that may or may not be true, but I look at it, if it was $20, $30, I'm gonna get a return back on my insurance with that $20 or $30 that's gonna far outweigh this cost. To me, yearly, $20 a year to pay this bond back. Do I have reservations about this ordinance? Yes, I have reservations. I have reservations about building new buildings for insurance purposes. But I look at the reservation I got, and I think if this brings the county down to, it's a possibility, it may bring the whole county down to ISO 4 when we get it at. Another reservation I have, we got so much money in the fire service, we got 20 mils going in the fire service. When this is over and said and done, there'll be 5 more buildings to upkeep. And it costs money to upkeep these buildings, and I want our fire director to really keep that in his mind. We got 20 mils tax, and that's all we got. I'd like to address the stations with living quarters before they're, if we pass this on 3 readings and public hearing, I'd like to address the stations with living quarters before they're built. We left the money in there to do it, but that don't mean we will positively do it as far as building the stations with living quarters. And I'm gonna ask for monthly reports of the progress of it. All this is in case it passes. Monthly reports of progress of it, what we did, where we spent the money and how much we spent. And that monthly report's gonna come in at the second meeting of every month. Another comment, this has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the Fountain Inn contract. Or doing away with the Kent Fountain Inn contract. This has absolutely nothing to do with it. We got an agreement explanation for the people that does not want to sign the building over to the county. It's Exhibit 5, I believe, in the book. But it's written in lawyer language. We need to write that in language that the normal person can understand. I know you gotta do that for business purposes, but I'd like to see this agreement written where the normal person can understand, read it and understand it. I think Mr. Cruikshank can take care of that.
I'll be glad to give Mr. Bowes, that's Mr. Bowes'.
It's just to kind of explanation of that agreement. Do we have anybody else who wants to comment before we take a vote? All right, we got a motion and a second. All in favor of doing this, raise your right hand. Got 4, all opposed? 42. And I remind you, this is just first reading. We've still got second reading, still got third reading. Things can be changed before then, and we'll have a public hearing now.
Mr. Chairman, as a follow-up to that, I think the second reading will be 2 weeks from today, the 24th, I guess, and then the public hearing and third reading will be on March 24th. That'll be and then there's if that passes, there's a 60-day waiting period for the bonds to be issued sometime in maybe June, July, sometime in the summer. So Mr. Bowes will be here. He can explain all that, particularly at this public hearing. That will be advertised within the next week or so.
All right, next thing on our discussion item tonight is funding the Hunter Industrial Park. Mr. Young.
This is John Young, he's the manager, the general manager of our Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak with you all this afternoon. Some of you may remember that my predecessor, Dale Satterfield, came before you all in 2013. He asked for a sum of money, $200,000, to do some work at the Hunter Industrial Park. That work was specifically designed to improve the park to what the Department of Commerce calls a Class A industrial park. And this primarily involved installing curb and guttering and some additional landscaping at the park. We have not used any of that money for that purpose, Shortly after we made that request, Marvin was able to get several prospects coming through. So at the time, we just didn't really feel like we needed to improve the appearance of the park because we were getting some prospects coming through there. And so tonight, what I would like to do is ask y'all's permission to discontinue that particular request for the curb and guttering project and instead use approximately a half of that money to extend the road Cherry Blossom Lane out approximately 400 feet. This would allow prospects to come in and view a piece of property on the other side of Hunter Industrial Park known as the Fleming Smith property. It's about a 500-acre site that currently there's really no easy way to physically get to that piece of property. I brought a little diagram here. I'll be glad to show you if that's okay. Just to kind of orient you here, Highway 221 runs along here. This is the Hunter Industrial Park Road, and this is Cherry Blossom Road. The existing industry is Kamura right here, and I don't know if any of y'all have been out there recently, but there is a warehouse being constructed right about here. And what we are asking is for these funds to be redesignated to use to extend this road out approximately 225 feet. That would allow Marvin and the folks at LCDC to show the piece of property which kind of goes in this area through here. It's probably the last, what Marvin would call a mega site available in Lawrence County, this particular piece of property right here. That's the purpose of me being here this evening.
Yeah, y'all maintain those roads,
Yes.
that they belong to you in the park.
Yes. Now this would, like I said, this would be a gravel road. It would be paved out to where this yellow area here, and the remainder of it would be a gravel road, just for the purposes of when the Department of Commerce brings prospects to the area, we would be able to access that particular piece of property.
The bid you got on the road, did you get several bids on that?
No, sir, we just got one bid. We plan to get more than one, but just for time purposes, we were only able to secure one. It took us some time to get that one, to be honest with you, but we do plan to get at least two more. And we feel like that is sufficient money to do the project that we want to do.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
The first thing I'm gonna do here is ask for a motion to void that original $200,000 offer. Can I get a motion on that?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we void the original proposal. The exact amount, was it 200,000 exactly? I mean, we have a not to exceed on that, but I didn't recall the exact amount.
There was not to see. Got a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, I'll ask for a motion for $100,000 of the Hunter Industrial Park money to go to build this road. Not to exceed $100,000. Could I get a motion on that?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion, we have a second. Motion and a second. Discussion.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, Mr. Moss, that piece of property is privately owned back there that we're looking to gain access to, correct?
It also gives us access to about 40 acres that's within Hunter Industrial Park, and at some point in the future, should that private property develop, it will be the access into it.
That's what and that brings up the second question there. That gives access to a portion there that we had not had any road access to prior.
That's correct.
Prior to that. So we still have some property there for some other businesses here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Nash, you have anything?
Well, years ago, there was money came through for widening 2 foot on each side of 14. That never was used either. It was used out of Hunter Industrial Park because we voted on it. So I guess that went out there. And under the guise that we would eventually get American Titanium, we didn't. That's all the thoughts I want to throw out. We keep spending money out there. I think the Development Corporation could come up with the money to do this project here instead of taxpayers in Warren County. That's just my idea.
Mr. Jones?
All I can say on this right now is, I definitely would like to see some more bids on it. That's all I've got right
Ms. Sanders?
I don't have anything to say.
Mr. Fitz?
No comment, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman, this is a quick way of explanation, what the Hunter Park money is. It's been discussed before. That was years ago. The city of Lawrence, the school district, the county came together to apportion that money out there. 25% of the feelers come in, 25% of the city, 25% of the county, 25% of the school board, and 25% of economic development programs specifically generated by the industry in that park. So the idea was initially that money would be available to do the very kind of project we're talking about. So that this is in line, I think, with what the policy's been for 15 years or so.
Well, we got a motion and a second, and we discussed it. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? So 3-3. That's a no vote. Next thing on our discussion item is, Lawrence County accommodation taxes. Mr. Howard?
Good evening, council. I'm here again for the final approval for the funds to be allocated out of the accommodation tax monies that we receive every year. It's a little later this year because we actually had trouble having a quorum so that we could make an approval. It's just hard to get people involved a lot of times nowadays. What we are asking, or what's been recommended by the Accommodation Tax Committee and also recommended from the Parks and Recreation Committee, is that all applicants receive the $2,000 and then the remainder to be paid out to the Parks and Recreation Department for improvements to the parks. And is everyone familiar with the process of accommodations tax? If you'd like me to explain, I'd be glad to. The way the accommodations tax works is the money's collected throughout the county and it goes back to the state. It doesn't always depend on how much we receive. I mean, we take in, sometimes we get more back, sometimes we might get less back, usually more than less. The funds come in quarterly, and we have, the law says that the first $25,000 of that must be allocated to the general fund. After that, 5% of the balance must be allocated to the general fund. After that, 30% of the balance has to be obligated to a special tourism promoting organization, and for that we use the Chamber of Commerce. And the remaining funds, usually ranging around $20,000 to $30,000 a year, goes out for grants for things that bring tourist dollars back to Lawrence County. Things like Hospice Flight of the Dove, the Catfish Festival, the Squealing on the Square, Town Rhythms. Those things are things that bring tourism dollars back. Also, you know, that actually increase the egg tax money. So those things, festivals, destinations, all of those things are where these grants can go. The way the grant system works is we require them to spend a a certain portion, and it's usually, well, what it's been for the past 3 years is they have to spend $4,000 and they receive $2,000 back, so it's like a 50% grant match. They show the funds because we have to show that those funds are being used to attract tourism. And by doing that, we're responsible, but by them having to show receipts of how they spent the money, we can cover our own side of it. So these funds are all previous applicants. They're all tourism generating, some more than others. And council has the final say of where these monies go. And these are recommendations from the Accommodations Tax Committee and the Parks and Recreation Commission.
I like to add that you can pull it up online and it tells you the form how it's divided up. And these funds have to be spent to bring tourists in Lawrence County.
And support tourism. That's,
Where are they collected exactly?
I do not know. I believe it's
Part
outside.
of the revenue collection and basically reimburses us back. It's based on a formula for, especially, hotel expenses and that sort of thing. And it's a formula based on the amount generated plus population. And, if you get a certain amount, all these rules kick in.
That's
If
right.
it's below a certain amount, it always is general fund. So we got into this.
We're right on the border.
Yeah,
We're right there at 65,000, so.
And I think what Mr. Howard's trying to do is you built, and you can use them for recreation facilities like Boyd Mill, County Park, and that kind of thing. Well, I think what he's trying to do over the years, and what the commission's trying to do over the years is to bank some of these funds for projects.
For larger projects. For example, one we're doing right now, we banked the last 2 or 3 years at, I think we probably received $10,000 to $12,000 a year. We banked those and we use that as match money for a landmark conservation fund grant for $100,000 for repairs to the county park. That's going to make it a lot nicer. So that's where that's been going as far as Parks and Recreation goes.
Thank you, Andy. Do we have a motion to approve these, the tax request from the Accommodation Tax Committee?
So moved.
Second discussion, Mr. Chairman.
We got a motion and a second. We'll start discussion this way this time.
Mr. Howard?
Yes, sir.
Does it have to be a 501c3 or a nonprofit organization to apply for this?
Or government organization,
Okay.
municipality.
Thank you.
So,
No further thoughts?
They also submit their budget to you too, don't they?
Well, with the way we're doing it now, with the expenditures being directly allocated, they have to show us receipts. It's not necessarily that they show us the budget. The budget was so that it could document showing where they spent those funds, but they're having to show receipts, so it's actually better this way. We can guarantee exactly where it's spent.
Mr. Jones,
I've got no comment, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Knight,
No comment this time.
Mr. Todd.
Just, Mr. Howard.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned something there, the board, both boards have reviewed this list.
Yes.
And voted to approve the list.
Yes, and these are their recommendations to the council.
I do want to make a statement for those that doesn't have access to the list sitting here. In every case, each one were met with the exception of one, and that's a growing festival, and I suspect it, it could be certainly up for that one time.
I can read off the list of the applicants.
This was all the applicants you had. I mean, I know in the past years, this has pretty much been the runner.
I think what happened when we required that they show receipts and the funds that they're spending money on to ensure that the money's being spent properly, they were unable to do that. And so a lot of things quit applying because they couldn't show that proof.
I have to say, I work with the Catfish Festival every year. Lawrence County goes into town to wear a show, and these accommodation tax funds are a big benefit when you're putting on a festival like that. A festival, just like the EMS system, it'll never pay for itself. It's not a money-making thing, it's something just to bring tourists into town and spend money. But, I know Andy, when he came on board, he come up with the idea about putting some of it in Lawrence County parks, and it's really helped out a lot.
Yes, sir.
And, I like my comment too, Mr. Ertz, that used to have Andy's job, he retired, what, 3-4 years ago?
Yes, 4 years ago.
Mr. Ertz passed away last week. He was a fine person. I always enjoyed sitting down and talking to him.
Yes, sir.
But, we'll call for the vote. Everybody in favor, raise your right hand. 6-0.
Thank you, council.
Again,
Thank you, Andy. We got an appointment approval for our Lawrence County Grievance Committee. I'm gonna let Ernie address that.
Mr. Chairman, under our personnel policy, the county is required to provide due process to employees that may have a grievance for various reasons, and we have a 7-member committee that will work with Ms. Parker, I think Ms. Cruikshank, in these issues. But before the appointment committee, the council would need to, by resolution, need to amend the county's employee handbook. Section 4.1 would increase the size of the committee from 5 to 7, and then the 4.3 would increase the quorum required for this agency to operate, this organization to operate 3-4. That can be done by resolution, I believe, right, so if we get that done first, we do that.
Okay, motion to approve this by resolution. Go from 5 to 7.
Does that mean that, Mr. Chairman, that each council district wants one?
No, these are employees.
These are employees. When somebody has a grievance, it's just employees that earn them. Comes up, it's hard to get anybody to serve on the committee. But, these people have agreed to serve. But, a resolution, do we have a motion to approve, to go from 5 to 7, to change the handbook?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we, amend our handbook to increase the number of employees used in this group. You have to be a lawyer against it, or we're going into a fight, right?
And could you add to that, to increase the size of 4 and 2, 3, 4? That would be section 4.1 and section 4.3.
Increase the quorum from
3 to 4.
3 to 4, would you agree with that?
Yes, yes,
Do we have a second?
Second.
We got a motion and a second, and any other discussion? Having none, we vote, right hand. 6-0.
Mr. Chairman, before you now are the members that will be appointed to serve in this function. Their name, you want?
Go ahead.
All right, Leslie Campbell in the Treasurer's Office, Sherry Edge in the Magistrate's Office, Charles Boyce in the Sheriff's Office, Kurt Thaxton in the Fire Service, Jenny Sharp in the Sheriff's Office, Madge Bird in the Codes Office, and Joey Holmes at the Library. I think Ms. Parker, where she is, I think they've all agreed to serve. Is that right? Okay. That would be the group we present to approve, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we got these 7 people listed in front of us. Do we have a motion to approve this committee?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion, we got a second?
Second, Mr. Chairman.
Got a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, on the application, it says the applicant must reside in Lawrence County and be a registered voter. 2 of the 7 recommended live outside the county. Would Mr. Seegers or Ms. Parker address that by way of?
Again, this is a peer rating, a group of peers that, that go into these things. I don't think the fact that they may live out of the county, when they work in the county, I don't think that'll have a major impact. And then maybe we need to amend that as well.
I saw that was on the top of the application.
This may be an error, by the fact that, our board and commission kind of, listed on in this format.
What we need to do is retract that motion.
Well, wait, before we do, is that part of the handbook or is that part of the application? If it's part of the application, it's
These
where it
people are
comes.
applying to be appointed.
I agree.
So I think from that standpoint, it's not really an application they're filing out, they're filling out, it's an appointment by county council, that they agree to serve. I think that's a good point. I don't think it makes any difference.
Yeah, but on Dr. Pittson's point, I think we need to address it one way or the other. If it's part of the handbook, we need to amend the handbook to say they don't, to remove that section. If it's only on that
On that sheet.
sheet that they fill out as an application, then we need to address that. It's just there.
That was just the basic application we use for all boards and commissions. That does not reflect the
Agree. What we probably need to do is put this on a different form. Solve some of that.
Okay, I guess we need to retract that motion.
No, sir, I don't think that, I don't think so.
You don't want to have a resolution to change it
I think,
where they work for the county instead of.
I think administratively, we can change the format of the list. I think that'll take care of it. Ben, you agree?
Any other discussion?
If I could just interject one thing, related to what Mr. Towson had, that criteria is not part of employment.
And I look back at that and I understood that not.
Any other discussion? Okay, we'll vote on it. All in favor, raise your right hand. 6 up.
Thank God.
I tell you, a lot of times it's hard to get anybody to serve. I appointed a girl on Lawrence County Disability and Special Needs 10 years ago, and she's still serving on a very good member of the Lawrence County Disability Special Needs. So it's good to have people out here to serve on some of these committees. Next thing we got on our agenda is our administrative report.
I'll be very brief. I think Mr. Lindley has placed a notice in front of him on the desk where there will be an award ceremony for the Reno, Hickory Tavern, Durban Creek, and Waterloo Fire Departments on Friday, February 20th, that's next Friday, at 11 a.m. in the South Harper Building. They've been awarded $16,748 in grants, $5,000 each to Reno, Hickory Tavern, and Durban Creek, and it's $1,748 to Waterloo Volunteer Fire Department. So that'll be next Friday, I guess, down south of the Church Street Building, so we hope you return to attend that. There'll also be an open house at Ecom Fire Department, the new fire department out in the Ecom area on the 28th of February, Saturday, from 10 a.m. to noon. I think Landon and staff will work hard to get that. That was a building that burned back in March, 2 years ago, I guess it was. And they've been rebuilt, and we're proud of what we got down there. And you also have a listing for the funeral for Mr. Councilman Daniel's mother. Service will be Friday, February 13th, at 11 a.m. at Poplar Springs A.M. Church. That's Highway 221 North, I believe, is that way, out toward the Walmart Distribution Center. I believe that's all I have.
I'd like to ask Mr. Lindley, is Eastern Beach completed now?
It is completed, and operating. Yes, it's
Well,
completed.
that's good. Okay, we set aside 15-minute period for public comment. If you got something you want to say, come forward and give your name. You're supposed to hold it to 5 minutes, and I ask anybody to come forward, or you're addressing the whole council. You're not addressing any particular person. This is not a stage for grievance. The public comment time is open.
All right, this is for everybody on council here this evening. It was brought to my attention last week that Hayes Ambulance Service,
Name?
Brian Thorne, sorry. Hayes Ambulance Service has been allowed to participate in the mutual aid agreement with Lawrence County EMS. What concerns me about this is anybody who spends any time at these meetings has heard all the problems over the last year or so that the county, and in particular Lawrence County EMS, has had with this provider. not to mention some of the other private services such as the one I operate within the county. Mr. Seegers actually, at a previous meeting, talked about a cease and desist order that the county actually had to write to this provider because of different tactics and things that they were using in order to generate business and or actually take 911 calls that did not belong to them, but actually belonged to Lawrence County EMS. In addition, I have also brought with me this evening, and I'll leave out for everybody here, police reports and incident
I'm gonna
reports.
stop you right there. This is not the stage for something like this. If you got a problem, you working in the private sector,
But I'm also a
we're
citizen.
concerned with the EMS of Lawrence County.
Correct.
You work in the private sector. Your business is no business of ours. If you got a problem with your business, you can go to the magistrate.
Well,
You
I'm
got
not
sheriff's
representing my
department.
business, I'm representing myself as a citizen of Lawrence County. I've got family that live in Clinton and also out in Hickory Tavern, and we are all affected by this. Not to mention the people that do work for Lawrence County 911. I mean, we're talking about EMTs and paramedics who've been followed to their homes. We've had their family members come up here and speak before.
You're being affected by what?
By this provider being allowed to provide 911 service. So you're telling me that the person who has been coming in here and doing things illegally and backhanded can now come into my residence and provide patient care to either myself, my family, or other family members that I have throughout the county. And that is of great concern to me, given the history and even just sitting in these meetings, hearing the issues that council and the rest of the county has had with this provider.
You telling me this, you telling me that we got problems.
Yes, sir.
I haven't heard any problems out of the county administrator. Everything goes through a chain of command.
Correct. There was actually brought up at a county council meeting when another family member of Lawrence County EMT came forward with a concern, and it was told that there was a cease and desist order that was written by the county for them to stop doing what it was they were
We
doing.
came up with an agreement, and we asked each company to sign that agreement.
Correct.
As far as I know, everybody signed the agreement, right? If we got a problem with the EMS service, our EMS director will come to Mr. Seegers, and he'll tell Mr. Seegers, we got a problem with our EMS, and then Mr. Seegers brings it to council.
Okay.
We're not gonna bypass Mr. Seegers. I appreciate what you do, you know, but it's not up to this county or this county council to make your business grow or whatever. I wanna see your business grow, but it's,
Legally. Right.
I'm in the welding business, but if I had a welding business in Lawrence and it didn't grow, who am I to go to the county council and say, you need to help my business grow?
Right, and that's why I'm not here saying that it's something for my business personally, it's for the citizens of Lawrence County, have to worry about who it is coming in their door. So, I mean, that's fine, I mean, I understand your point, your perspective, but I'm also bringing this to you, especially since there's an ongoing investigation at the state level, and we're allowing providers like that to be able to operate within our
Well,
county.
that's what I say, you got a problem, you need to go to the magistrate,
Right.
or the sheriff's department. I think the
Well,
sheriff's
we've
here.
done that, and like I said, I've got police reports here and everything. I mean, this is an ongoing issue in the county. We are not the only provider to have problems. And like I said, you've got EMTs and paramedics that work for the county that are being harassed by this provider, and nothing's being done. So that's all I wanted to come up and bring to your attention this evening. So, thank you.
All right. Anybody else? I'm gonna say a couple other things, we've had, since They differ.
Need to close the public hearing, the public hearing is closed.
Public comment time is closed. I think the county council has addressed this, we beat it to death, this agreement to try to work with different ones that wants to work with the EMS service in this county. But the people that are coming in our county, wanting to work in our county, that's fine. But it's not our responsibility to run your business or handle anything in your business. It's your problem to make it grow. Next thing on our agenda is comments from council members. Mr. Todd?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say I appreciate the civil meeting tonight. I understand that we've had a couple of controversial issues. Do want to make a point that several of us traveled to Columbia Friday and met with a couple of folks to get us up as a chairman and vice chairman. And we've also met with several department heads during this transition, and I appreciate the time the staff has spent with us in making that transition. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Knight?
I'd like to mention that Sheriff's sister died a week or so ago, a week ago more. Heart goes out to him and his family.
Who is that to?
Sheriff Chastain, his sister, fell and died. Certainly have all best wishes and hope the family is doing okay.
Mr. Young?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to push the issue of the local government fund, getting that money back. Since 2009, the state has been withholding that money. I want government to work smarter so that taxpayers don't have to work harder. And we can find the cost savings in our current budget, find some new ways to do things that will provide other savings. But regardless of what area that money is going to, it's coming from people of Lawrence County, and that's where it needs to come back to people of Lawrence County. So that's almost $1 million. I mean, I think for that amount of money, we could repair all the stations, we could build an additional station, I mean, we could do a lot with that money locally. So I'm passing a petition around to actually push this issue, meeting with state legislators, and just asking for everybody to contact their state legislators and ask for this money back. So thank you.
Ms. Adams?
I don't have anything to say, but about the local government fund, we do need to make sure, and I would appreciate the citizens of Lawrence County to talk to our representatives, and you know who our representatives are, Mike Pitts, Danny Burton, and Mr. Willis, and also part of Clinton has Anthony. And we do need to make sure that they vote positive to make sure that the funds are returned back to the county. Now, it would not be able to go to the fire department, and I think they've already mentioned it would go into our general fund, but we can make sure that we are providing the services that's necessary for the citizens of the county.
Mr. Pitts?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to respectfully request this council to reconsider at the next meeting the request to construct the road in the Hunter Park. Maybe I have a misunderstanding, but I believe if my notes are correct, there's $600,000 in that account in the Economic Development Fund at the Hunter, referenced as the Hunter Fund. That money is designed in what I believe to be to improve that park and to attract additional industry in there, and I would respectfully request this council to reconsider that at our next meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, if I may add to that, that money is not just designed and has not just been used for Hunter Park. I would be wrong, we've used that money, we have posed some in Clinton Park, we've used it at Owens, we've used it in Fountain, I think, but nevertheless, it's called the Hunter Park Fund because that was one of the when we started. That money is earmarked for industrial development, and that is a perfect use for what it was designed to use for.
That's the only thing it'd be used for. You're right.
We used it for other economic development programs, but that's all it's ever used for. In fact, very little of it can be used for Hunter, except to use another place.
On comment I got, I want to ditto keep Ed McDaniel and his family in your prayers. And he did lose his mother this week, and I don't think Ed has either told his mother or he didn't tell his mother that he was sick. She's 102 years old, I believe. I heard she was a great lady. If ain't got anything else, we got an executive session item for an employment matter. We have a motion to go into executive session.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second for the employment matter.
Motion and a second. All in favor?